What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 6 of Fantasy in Progress, a point in progress podcast. Still a mouthful every single time.
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, Harv. With me, we have the usual suspects. We got Fee. How you doing, Fee?
I feel like I looked into the the casket in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and my brain is completely melted by the amount of information that I have tried to retain today. So in conclusion, I'm feeling pretty good.
Wow, we took a detour there for a second.
It's just like, woo!
Yeah. Frank, how are you doing today?
Good. Just to jump off of how Fee's feeling, I feel like Michael Myers at the end of the new Michael Myers movie, Halloween, where he's just sitting in the basement and staring up at somebody and just like not having a care in the world. Everything's burning around in him, and then Laurie's just looking at him like, whatever. And that's Yoshi P right there looking at me at this fire of offense that's going on because I have no idea what the fuck is going on with any of these classes.
So today is October 13th. Today is the embargo lifted for Endwalker. The media tour ended and the embargo lifted today. So they showed off the changes that are going to happen to all the jobs to the game, and then the people released videos and stuff like that. And so today I've been pouring over everybody's like videos of what they posted for the changes. I've been looking over mostly the whole everybody's interview with Yoshi P as well. It's been a lot of me watching videos and trying to retain the information and like what kind of questions people ask, because so this is the first time you guys have been through a media tour for Final Fantasy. So when these media tours happen, everybody gets one-on-one time with Yoshi P. So they get usually it's about an hour of time each person.
Yeah.
And what they do is like you can ask whatever you want. You don't have to ask about Final Fantasy. You can ask about games in general, some personal shit, whatever you want. Everything is on the table. And so everybody posted all those interviews today, and people ask a myriad of questions. So there's a couple of questions that were also answered that I had kind of we're not worries about, but like thinking about and stuff like that. So I don't know if we're gonna cover that today, but we want to cover all the changes that are coming. Well, most of the changes that are coming to the jobs that we play, and some of like just kind of Endwalker changes that are gonna be coming into the game.
Yeah.
Fee has been trying to wrap her brain around the jobs today, and it's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, for some context for our listeners, Harv had about a good solid 8 pages of notes. I'm now about at 35 page, and now mind you, a lot of it is screenshots, but it is 35 pages of information that I've been trying to retain. And I honestly, I'm gonna be frank, the one that really hit me was Ninja. Ninja was the thing that was just like the nail in the coffin, and my brain just melted out of my ears, and I'm like,
Because they just keep throwing shit at you. You're like, what does this word mean? Why is this word there? I don't know where this is going. What is this thing?
oh, for sure. And it's been a lot of fun. Like, I honestly, it's getting me more and more excited for Endwalker, and being able, like, currently Shadowbringers has been an absolute delight, and being able to like look in and be like, okay, these are the classes that I want to look at playing next. Because I currently have my Dark Knight up to 80, I have my Red Mage to 70, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I want to start a healer, I want to start doing X, Y, and Z, and kind of getting to like, what do I want to play next? And we've had some pretty good conversations throughout the day, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that in the podcast. This podcast. Shocker.
Yeah. So this podcast comes out every Friday. Probably it's gonna be on Thursday when you hear this, because we're going one day earlier because of all the stuff. You can see this
Yeah.
on YouTube, youtube.com/point in progress. There's all podcast feeds. We're gonna be switching the podcast feed next week to its own feed. So there's gonna be no other thing except Fantasy in Progress, and that's it. So we are switching it to our own feed next week. Guys, if you guys like the video, please hit that like button. If you guys like the content on the channel, hit that sub button and ring that bell. on that note, we're gonna jump into a couple of things that that we saw. One, they showed off 2 new zones. It looked like one was called Thavnair, which is kind of like an East Indian Hindu kind of style of a zone. It's very colorful, bright colors, and very like dense. And they said it's like a very dense jungle kind of area, which sounds really really cool. It's something that this game doesn't have. Apparently, it's got a rich source of magically infused stone called Giant Skull. I have no idea what that means. So
Yeah, me
this
neither.
is yeah.
I read
this
that
is
and I was just like, is this a story thing or is this like a thing we could use?
I have no idea. So this is gonna be something they're gonna introduce in Endwalker, and it's exciting for me because I have no fucking idea, and that makes me happy because it's new content, right? It's new stuff. They showed off. You guys have not seen this yet because spoilers. There are a couple of spoilers in like the thing, right, in the video.
Yeah.
They showed off Charlayan, which is the new city we're going to be going into. It is going to be the Crystarium of Endwalker, and we've known this for a long time. And we've known that this is going to be the new city. This is going to be the hub of the next expansion, and this is where Alizé and Alphanode are from. So this is where we're going to get a lot of that story, I think, finally, because these are the scholars, these are the people that like write the stories, and this is a very very old generation of people. And that comes into the AF. They showed all the artifact equipment for all the jobs, and you can see that inside that trailer as well. That it is very the designs of the artifact are very simple. They're not flashy. They're not muted, but they're to a point where they're just like they don't go at you, like some jobs or some armor does and stuff like that. So they look cool. They look cool.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the highlights was the new clothing changes, because I've been getting really into glamours recently, and even watching YouTube channels that are specifically glamour related or just like house decor, which we do not have a guild house, so I haven't really been getting into that, but mostly like the glamour aspect. I am so excited for the AF gear.
Hopefully once Endwalker comes out, we can get a house.
Yeah. Like finally starting to like get a house would be really fun.
Yeah, and it's somewhere you could teleport back to. You'll always have like a home base, and you'll always have you'll have the auction house right there. You'll have your summoning bell right there, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you can't do glamour dresser. I hope they talk about something about that. But they said they're doing something with glamour dressers in some point in 6.0 or 6.1 or something like that. So.
Yeah, I'd definitely use my apartment more if I could have a glamour dresser in there. Everything else is nice because the market board's right outside, summoning bell's right there. You can basically do everything right there that you have to, but there's no reason for there to have an apartment if I can't change my clothes there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with the house too. It's a problem. You can't have one in a house. So you actually have to go to an inn still. So hopefully they'll change that, and among other things. On that note, so one of the big things that came out today was the changes to the jobs. So there are a lot of changes. We're going to take our jobs that we play, and then I'm going to just kind of go over a couple of them and just see what you guys think about some of them. But it's not going to be, we're not going into a comprehensive list of all the jobs, because if we did that, we'd be here, this podcast would be like 5 hours long.
Yeah, we'd have our own little mini mini event going on here.
We would have to do a premiere.
Yeah, right.
At that point, we're just like half asleep, just shaking from like too much caffeine, trying to get through it. But yeah, no, because I know we even had talks about like how we want to kind of address how we specifically kind of base this like issue with like so many different classes, and honestly I think just like the way that we that definitely makes sense, because it, like you said, it would be like 5, 6, even like I wouldn't even say 5 hours. I would probably like push it to maybe like 6 or even 7, because there's so much to go over, and then kind of comparing it to what they currently are doing with it, and then like what they're actually doing, and then like also having a conversation of like what happens if it changes before Endwalker. So it's a lot of
Yeah,
information.
so everything that we're going to talk about is all tentative. It can
Mhm.
change at any moment. But let's just get into it. We only got 36 days, guys, until Endwalker.
Yeah. We're getting pretty far into Shadowbringers though. We're getting pretty close.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are very close.
By the
Okay.
way, Fee, when you
Yes.
were talking a minute ago, I'll be honest with you, Hera is right behind you, and it was adorable because I think she licked the door at some point. I could be wrong on that. She, it looked like she did. But yeah,
It's either that or she saw some of the ghosts, but that's pretty normal for her too.
that makes sense.
Because she'll do a random dance and start yelling at the ceiling right here. So we'll see if that happens. You know,
Maybe, hopefully.
definitely a vibe. Yeah. Oh no, she's sleeping. No, she's just glaring under her chair.
Yeah, she like went to the door. She was just like, it looked like she licked it at some point and then just like walked away.
She's my special little child.
Sorry, I wanted to get the tooltips and stuff out for some of them, so I kind of know. So the first thing, guys, we're gonna talk about is Red Mage. That's first thing on the list. So this is Fee's expertise right here. So yeah, do you want to take this one over, Fee? Because you've looked at this and you've done the research for this, and I can jump in when I need to for this one.
Which is when I start crying, which seems like pretty on brand for me. Yeah, so gosh. Let me scroll up in the doc, which is my like thoughts and things. Anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of interesting things that they specifically did, introducing a fantastic 10% magic. Like they specifically have it for 10% magic, but they are introducing a new buff and like a barrier. And guys, it has a really interesting name. It's really like they really took time and effort. I think it's probably some of their best work. It's called Magic Barrier.
Oh my god.
Fucking nailed it,
Just-
dude.
Bro, who got paid for that? That's fucking amazing. Give them a
Nailed it.
bonus. Jesus Christ. That is some marketing expertise right there. That is a perfect name.
It's probably I was just like tear, just like a single tear, just like this is a masterpiece. No, but it's really really helpful. Some of the really cool highlights, one of which is, my goodness, resolution looks absolutely insane. For listeners and the people listening, that is essentially their new cone deck. That's a part of their final rotation after Scorch. And it's just a massive, like almost like summoning circle, but it's just consistently going downwards. It's like standing in an elevator that's just full of like glass or mirrors, and you're looking down and you're seeing yourself like hundreds of times. But it's in this case a bunch of red symbols and seals, and it looks so freaking cool. I think a lot of the new things when it comes to Red Mage, they're just like, let's make it all look crazy because all of their AoEs now have new animation, which is very smart move. Very, very smart move.
Well, because they turned them into AoEs now, right? So
Yeah.
Verholy and Verflare, I think they've turned those in. They got new animations that they've turned into AoEs now. So it's good. And then pretty much their entire rotation is turned into AoEs now at this point. Like Scorch is an AoE, Resolution is an AoE, so
the red mages are going to be great for dungeons with all those like, grouped up mobs and shit like that. It's going to be really helpful to have all that damage for AoEs and stuff like that.
It is super, super helpful. And then another great one is Manifestation. As we all know, they talked about it in the live letter. Red and white mana for Manification. Didn't I say Manification?
Dream of Kala Manification.
You said Manifestation.
Manification.
You're trying to manifest something.
I mean, I'm manifesting that we get this earlier than Endwalker, but that's not going to happen. So, black and white mana have now gone down from 80 to 50. But with manification, there we go. Both your black mana and your white mana go to 50. Now, this is great because that means that you can start off a fight with melee. A lot of the time, it would just be you would go in, you would do a lot of your spells to get up to 80, which is a little bit of a grind. It seems like it shouldn't be that hard, but it feels sometimes, especially when you're in a dungeon, it takes a lot longer. Or when you're in a going through it and everyone's doing so much damage that you're like, okay, once I've summoned, like actually cast my spell, oh, everything's dead, cool beans, let's go, let's continue. So you're just like really stressed out there. But now we have that with manification. Another bonus with this is if you start a fight off, this is kind of a benefit for people who are going through Duty Finder or with a raid, saving up your white and black mana. So you start the fight with 100 for both. You can actually go through 3 rotations of your melee attacks, which is absolutely insane. That is just like mind-boggling.
Red Mage is going to be doing so many physical combos now.
Yeah. It's so like I'm really excited for it because as everyone knows, I'm more of a melee person anyway. Not saying I don't like the spell aspect and the range aspect of Red Mage, but being able to feel like you're a little bit more of a melee class than you were ranged is definitely a benefit, at least for myself.
Yeah, which makes sense for that class too, because you have a sword.
Yeah, it's like we have a sword.
You have I don't know what that sword's those type of swords are called, but like
rapiers.
You have a fencing sword.
Rapier. Yeah.
You have a fencing sword, so it baffles me how like every time I see you play Red Mage, you only kind of go in for that little initial attack, and then you kind of zip back and go back to being magic oriented. So it's really cool. And I just to mention there too, you technically get an ability that we machinists have had for a little bit called Barrel Stabilizer, which is at the start of our combo, we get 50 battery.
Yeah,
by using
it's the same
that.
thing.
So
It's
okay.
Same exact concept. Yeah.
There have been more changes to displacement in engagement, which is cool.
You get more charges, so you'll be going in with engagement, doing your thing, displacement, and then once you get another 50, you just go back in and then come back out. So there's a lot of just going back and forth, which is kind of nice.
And obviously the changes to enhanced reprise change and acceleration, which is awesome. But I want to specifically kind of focus on the last major change that was mentioned in the videos that we're looking at. Embolden isn't just for melee DPS anymore. It's for everybody, people. Y'all, like, you get damage buff. You get a damage buff. Everybody gets damage buffs because it's like, it's been kind of silly. And I've always thought, like, at least since I've started, and I know I'm a little baby Red Mage, but just benefiting melee seemed a little bit weird to me because there's so many different other types of damage, especially with the healers doing damage and tanks doing damage. It's like, okay, well, I'm benefiting one of the many classes and like I guess like brackets, if the best way to put it. So I'm happy to see that we actually take that opportunity to benefit everybody because it's good to help your group in your Duty Finder.
Yeah, no, that change is huge because I don't understand why they did it just for physical DPS. Like, if that went on to Black Mage, that would have helped Black Mage DPS so much more as well because that's massive. They already do a lot of damage, and this would have helped a lot as well.
Yeah, and now they're gonna do even more. I think like out of all of the changes, like yes, it's really cool to see some of like the bigger hitters like Resolution, but having just something. Even though it's a small change and it's not something new, having that change for Embolden will definitely change party groups and like raid groups. Because like the numbers might seem a little bit like, oh, it's just a little bit, but that little bit could mean the 1% at the end of a raid fight.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see. That was probably one of my biggest highlights, and obviously Resolution, because Resolution looks sick.
Yes. No, Red Mage looks fun. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because you already know I'm getting everything to 90, so it's going to be really fun to get through all those jobs.
That's my goal too.
So the next thing, before we get into our jobs, Frank, I want to talk about Summoner. That's the next thing that's on the list, so I'm just going to talk about that quickly. As quick as I possibly can. Um,
I'm looking at it. It is a lot to Summoner.
again, yeah.
One,
So
two.
the first stuff for Summoner, like Ruin 3, Try Disaster, Fester, Energy Drain, that stuff really hasn't changed that much. They just don't have dots associated with them anymore. So it is just kind of deals damage. You have Rune 4 as I think it's an instant cast now. Yeah, it's an instant cast. But the big thing are the summons. So there's two types of summons they added. They got the demi summons, which are Bahamut and Phoenix, and they have elemental summons, which are Garuda, Ifrit, and Titan.
Yeah.
So the rotation is you got to get Bahamut out. That unlocks the 3 elemental ones, which will unlock Phoenix, and then Phoenix will unlock the 3 elementals again. And it's just it's the circle of life after that. You just keep going through that whole circle. So they streamline this pretty well for the most part. There's 3 abilities that each one gets. One is Astral Flow, which is the special ability that every summon gets. So this, I'm guessing from what I saw, is like more Garuda's big move. I forgot what the move is. I'm like Hellfire by Ifrit, or Titan's big move that he does, right?
Yeah.
Gem Shine is the single target damage, and then Precious Brilliance and AoE. That's all there is, honestly, when it comes to elemental. Each elemental summon has its own way of casting things, where Ifrit is like the longer cast, but does a lot of damage. Garuda is the fast instant cast stuff, and then Titan is more of like the normal cast, like you just do normal moves kind of type thing with your GCD and stuff. So, and then you go into Bahamut, and then the other 2. I don't think they've changed that much. If I'm being completely honest, Bahamut and Phoenix, I think they're the same. I could be wrong. You can flame me in the comments below on that one. Because I don't play Summoner enough or at all, if I'm being completely honest. I can already
hear Mako just typing on the keyboard. How dare you talk about us summoners like this?
And then they get also a skill called Searing Light, which is it increases your damage by 3% for you and your party for 3%. So like, I don't know if this changes your guys. Like, I know Fee. I was talking to Fee today. She was like, I want to try Summoner now because of these changes. Are these changes something that you look forward to?
Yeah, like it makes the summoner class, like the job, seem more like a summoner, not just like a dot like AoE kind of spellcaster. It feels like there's definitely more of a flow, and that a lot of thought was put into this rotation. Some people might be like, well, this seems a little bit silly to like be able to like there's no specific like this is how you should summon the elementals. Like you shouldn't have to, like, it's not like you have to do Ifrit, Titan, and then Garuda. Like it's just like you specifically can summon which one makes sense to the particular like part of the fight that you're associated with. But it just really made me more interested. Like the more I was reading into it, it just seemed like they want this class to be more of a summoner. This might sound silly.
Summoner being a summoner? What?
I know, because they removed all the dots from the summoner, which was a huge thing. I know, and we've mentioned Mako because Mako is a part of our MSQ party and has been playing summoner and was a little bit shocked when they said like we're removing dots. But I think it'd be so cool to be able to summon these, like, even though they're not primals, they're technically the elemental versions of them, like the actual just spirits. But also being able to just summon like the little baby ones before 90 seems really cute. I know, yes, I'm talking about the cuteness factor of the specific class. You know what? Don't sue me. Don't sue me. But I don't know. It just seemed like the more I was looking into it and the more I was looking at the changes, the more I'm like, you know what? They took like they didn't just like take a class and they didn't want to butcher it. It was more in lines of like, let's think of how to make this better. And so I really respect the team at Square Enix that's working on this game to think like, yes, it's a rewrite of a character that we already know and a lot of people have been playing for 8 years, but I'm really interested to try it out. And that's kind of big for me because I'm like I've mentioned before, I'm not really a ranged person. And so being able to try something out like this is out of my comfort zone, but I think that's probably another reason why it has a little bit of more of an appeal to me. So I'm excited to try it in Endwalker. I'm not trying it right now. I'm not going to try to figure out a class that's changing from the ground up.
Yeah, nope.
35 days, like 36. Well, to me, it's 35 days. 35 days before the game gets released. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. What about you, Frank? What are your thoughts on Summoner? I don't know if you play magic-based characters. I think you're more physical.
I've messed with it a little bit. I'll be honest. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of magic-based character I want to be, because I definitely want to try out the magic side of Final Fantasy 14. It's so slow. The slot, like the beginning of it is so slow. I'm so used to everything just being so speedy with Machinists that like, and even with Samurai, because Samurai's super speedy to get through your abilities. So I'm used to that speed. So when you have to just go like, and you're like sitting there waiting for like 10 seconds until it finally does it, I'm just not used to it. So this definitely seems like it's a pretty interesting way to have like that cycle. And even from what I could see here with the picture, it just seems like it's basically a 2-minute cooldown for each kind of rotation that you're doing with what you're summoning.
It is, yeah.
So I mean, as long as it feels good, I might even try summoning. We'll see. But I'm still kind of working towards the Black Mage goal, because I definitely want to do big damage.
Big damage. Black Mage is gonna do some big damage, but I will warn you, Black Mage pre-50 is pretty meh for the most part.
I've heard.
Yeah, 60 is where it really starts to shine. Like it is.
Getting to it is hard because you gotta start Thaumaturge.
Yeah, it's at level 1. Yeah, exactly.
So I have my Thaumaturge up to I think like 20, so I think I'm getting there, but it's gonna take a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Mage was it is one of my favorite things, and these new changes that they're showing for Black Mage are fucking awesome, and I can't wait to jump into it. All right, Machinist. That is the next thing on the list. So Machinist already got a big glow up in Shadowbringers. Like they got a whole retooling. So you got in at the good time, Frank, when it comes to Machinist. You got it at the good time, because this job was fucking struggling.
I've heard some horror stories from other people talking about this. And funny enough, I've noticed there's a lot of Machinists out there lately.
Yeah.
Like there are a ton of Machinists out there. At first when I was playing it, I barely ever noticed any other Machinists, but lately I've been seeing more and more show up in raids and just like random quests and stuff like that. So it's been pretty interesting.
Machinist is also one of the only jobs that can get that can do Palace of the Dead solo as well.
Oh,
to get the Necromancer title.
That's good to know.
Yeah, if you ever want to do that. Go from 1 to 200 by yourself.
Yeah. But at least in terms of the changes they've made, I mean, I love these changes. These are all changes I would have liked.
You explain this because you know Machinist better than a lot of. I got it to level 80, and then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah. So my main complaint on Machinist, I love all the abilities that it currently has in terms of fighting something one-on-one, but when you're in a dungeon or having to fight a group of mobs or ads, it sucks. I don't like its spread shot, and I don't like it has another ability too, where it's basically just like it hits one thing for 50 and then kind of moves to everything else. And you only get those two basically. You have auto crossbow, but auto crossbow uses up your battery gauge or your overdrive gauge, and it really isn't worth it when you should be saving that for something bigger, for like, wildfire or like a one-on-one enemy. So I don't see anybody ever use auto crossbow, so that thing's basically useless. So AoEs with Machinists, absolutely useless. It seems like they saw that and said, you know what? Let's give the Machinists finally a good AoE, which is now a spread shot, which is now called scattergun.
Yeah, so they get a shotgun AoE, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of us doing the little shot that we do now, we get a shotgun, and it does 150 damage to all enemies. I don't know if that even matters. That all that potency is going to be changing anyway, probably.
Yeah.
And we also get chainsaw, which seems like it isn't I thought it was going to be a replacement for that one move I was talking about, where it's like a gauze round and you shoot one shot hits everybody else for 50%. Seems like it's its own ability, so we get another one of those. So not only can you do the 50% on the one ability, you now have chainsaw, which can also double that. Plus scattergun, it seems like AOE's are fixed.
Yeah.
And it also gives you 20 battery to your gauge, which is
Yeah.
I've been noticing recently it's really hard to get battery up unless we're doing or just going through our first initial three shot combo.
Yeah.
So getting Queen was getting kind of difficult, especially when we were playing recently. So giving us extra ways to get battery is definitely a cool little thing there.
Yeah.
Reassemble now has 2 charges, so I can double up on those drills, those 30,000 damage drills that I've been doing recently.
I'm really happy Reassemble got 2 charges, because Reassemble is
Yeah.
probably one of the most important skills that Machinist has.
Yeah, and it's a little weird timing it, because drill is like a 19-second cooldown or something like that, and reassemble's like 80. So
Yeah.
it's been so hard to like, when do I shoot my drill now, or do I wait till reassemble's done? And when reassemble's done, till drill is done. So having that extra 2 is going to be really good to kind of hopefully be able to time those a lot easier.
I think if I'm right, I think Reassemble has a 55-second charge.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I know it's a lot longer than drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, drill's 20.
Drill's 20, and then Reassemble's 55 seconds.
Yeah, so having an extra charge there is going to make it a lot like that.
Yeah.
And then I haven't really had a lot of time to use Queen, because I've been at level 80 for a while. It's just we haven't got to anywhere where I could use any of those abilities, and we're still not anywhere where I could use that ability, because it is a level 80 ability.
We're getting closer.
But,
we're getting closer.
We're getting closer.
Yeah.
So I don't know too much about what Queen is doing with this new finisher and all that, but it seems like it's getting definitely a cool upgrade in terms of just like how useful it's going to be. In the video I saw when they showed off the job skills and everything like that, it seemed like she was definitely getting a cool little buff, so then you can kind of use your battery gauge for something else in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah,
or your overheat gauge.
The queen, this is like her attack right before she leaves, kind of type thing. Like, this is her big move, and then she leaves. So it looks cool. The queen is like a dot, just glorified dot at this point, but it's cool that they're actually putting effort into the queen and making the queen viable.
I like those. I like that ability. I like the Rook turret and stuff like that. I use it as much as I can, because it just feels like it's another player putting in some damage. It always feels really good to have something like a little bit more damage getting creeped up in there. And then Tactician was reduced to a 90-second cooldown. I had Tactician up here. That is the 10% mitigation of damage to your whole party. I didn't know it was that long for the cooldown. Every time I kind of look at it, it's never really.
It used
but I
to
usually
be,
pop it first.
From what I remember, I think it used to be 2 minutes.
Yeah, here I had it up here. Tactician.
I think it used to be 120 seconds. It was
120 seconds.
Was it? Okay, yeah. So they've reduced it to 90 seconds.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Use it. I could use it a lot more often. I wish they would add a little bit more. That's the only pipe dream I have for Machinist, is just a little bit more utility for the team. But hey, I'd rather do more damage at the end of the day, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, Tactician is good. It's very, very good skill to have, especially for like if you're trying to prog through stuff when big AoEs are coming out. It's really, really good. Yeah, Machinist already looked great. That was something that, coming from that job, because I got it up to 80 in Shadowbringers, and I was like, man, this job is just too good. It's too good.
Yeah, I love it. It's speed. You know what I mean? It's just quick, easy damage. The rotation's really fun to do. The rotation's fun to look at. Like I said, the only thing I had a complaint about was just its AoE was not really fun to use at all. I wound up just kind of freestyling when we had a big mob or anything like that. But now it seems like we can actually AoE and be kind of competitive in that field.
Yeah. All right, now we're gonna go to my job, which is Paladin. Paladin got a lot. So
Mhm.
Paladin now, we're starting from the beginning. Paladin now has an AoE version of Spirits Within. I don't know how to say this. Expiation. I don't know. I don't know how to say that. I have no idea. But it is a an AoE Spirits Within, which is a great way just to get hate right off the bat. A really cool thing to have. Um, they also got Holy Sheltron, which you get at level 82, which is it grants, so it already does 15% mitigation. That's flat. It's always been doing that. It also grants Knight's Resolve, which reduces damage taken by another 15% on top of that. And then if you have Knight's Benediction, you get the right. So I think when it wears off, you get Regen. You just get Regen right afterwards. So they're giving a lot of this Regen stuff. It feels like Paladin is becoming the Regen healer or Regen tank, and Warrior is becoming the shield tank in their own little way. Now all of our spells like Holy Spirit, Holy Circle, they heal us while we do damage as well. And then Divine Veil just heals everybody now in our party except us, but like it heals everybody in the party. And then we got Intervention, which mitigates 10% damage on base, but when it runs out, it restores health on that target. But again, Intervention now it's finally viable because we never used Intervention before ever. But Intervention also stacks with Rampart. It also stacks with Sentinel, so that amount of potency will be on top of Intervention, which is nice. And then we have the Confederate, and then we have Requicast, or Requiscat. That's what it's called, Requiscat, which is now 5 stacks instead of timed. So now it used to be latency problems for a lot of people because it used to be timed. Now it's 5 stacks. You can do 4 Holy Spirits into the Confederate combo, which is awesome, and then you get your big combo with the blades that fucking come raining down. Blades of Faith, Blades of Truth, Blades of Valor, and then Blades of Valor puts an AoE dot on everything around you as well. So it's just they put a lot of utility, I would say, when it comes to Paladin.
And it seems like you guys are getting a lot of utility.
Yeah, a lot of utility now, and I think Paladin is going to be a meta thing. I think in raids and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited. I know Fee used to play Paladin.
I did.
He was once a Paladin until she went down the dark path.
Once a Paladin. What do you? Are you gonna go back to Paladin at some point?
That's a very good question. Honestly, some of the changes that we're seeing with the Paladin is actually, and don't come after me. It's almost reminding me of a WoW Paladin, like a Paladin, because they are known for having some heals themselves, which was actually something that it took me a little while to get used to when I first started playing the game as a Paladin in Final Fantasy. Was they don't have as many like self heals, because in WoW they have a number, like they had self heals and also like Ring of Light, which you can also play, and it would heal, like it's almost like an AoE drop that goes around you. As a low level, obviously you start off as Gladiator to a Paladin. It was still I know that we have damage mitigation, but it was always something that I was just like, this seems a little bit weird to me, but that's fine. Like that's like obviously when I came in, I wasn't thinking like this is going to be exactly the same. But now seeing a lot of the self heals, it makes me a little bit more excited to actually hop back into Paladin, because it just gives me like it would give me more versatility, which is something that kind of interests me. And I know I've talked about this previously, where I really enjoy when you have a bit like a specific job has abilities that not only benefits yourself but the entire party, which was something that really drew me into Red Mage. So having Paladins have a self heal but also have a party heal as well, with Divine Veil, it makes me a lot more interested to actually hop back over to a Paladin. Mind you, is it something I'm going to hop in right away? Maybe not. But since I started off with that, I feel like I have almost as an obligation to go back to Paladin and kind of give it a second try, especially after either we finish Shadowbringers or at the beginning of Endwalker.
Yeah,
Nice.
beginning of Endwalker is probably going to be the better option there because you're going to actually have a lot more to actually do as a paladin coming up.
Well,
Ye-
while I'm seeing this, we're probably gonna like if we're gonna keep the part. Well, this is gonna be we're gonna have to discuss this. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to see what our plans for Endwalker because I'm going to like jump through that game as fast as not fast as I can, but like I'm gonna consume that
Yeah.
game a lot. So we're gonna have to figure out what our plans are when Endwalker comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, speaking of tanks, we have Dark Knight,
We sure do. The
The
original
Dank Knight.
edgelord.
the Dank Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. The class that is still stuck in Shadowbringers in Endwalker. We are bringing over the Shadowbringer themselves, because one of the very first changes of a Dark Knight is we get an ability called Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers 2, literally.
Yeah, we get Shadowbringer, which is really exciting. It's an AoE with 2 charge. And what's even cooler is our Slumgrim also gets them as well, because you know why? Because they're our shadow and may as well have abilities too. So be prepared to see a lot of dark AoE going on and a lot of people being very confused and wondering if they should get out of that AoE or not, because that's been
Yeah.
always a benefit for Dark Knights.
Never
and
happened in our party.
Oh, yeah.
Never,
It's never happened. We're too high IQ for that to never happen.
Yeah.
And it totally wasn't me.
It's never happened before in our entire group. No, I was very interested in watching it when they showed it in the videos, and so I'm very excited to actually be able to use Shadowbringer. Ooh. Then the next would be a Delirium, which is no longer 10-second duration. Instead, you get 3 stacks that can be used for Blood Spiller, which is a single attack that does a currently damage of 600, which is really cool to see. And also Quitus, which is a AoE, and you'll see that a lot. It's not usually in our standard rotation, but it is a higher amount of damage that you can use. Usually you can use them like every so often, and then you can use the Delirium for 12 seconds and just kind of like use up to 5 actual stacks. Now it's 3 because it's a 1-minute cooldown instead of, I believe it's currently 3 minutes a cooldown. So dropping down to 1 minute. So having that kind of reduction is very helpful, because I honestly right now, and it might just be because I am still I'm still doing Duty Finder and stuff like that, I'm not going over and really using I'm probably going to get heat for this. I don't use Blood Spiller and Quitus very often. Like
What?
I'm usually calm down.
Oh, Blood Spiller is great.
I have no
Blood
idea.
Spiller-
I have no idea what these abilities are. I'm joking.
It's a very high amount of damage. I'm like, I'll use it like if I'm being mindful of it, but it's not something that I instantly am like, okay, I need to use this right now. Because I always find that like I might like it's always like I always get the cooldown for Delirium when I'm in the middle of a rotation, which like just irks me to my absolute core, because I still have to deal with the fact if I use my ranged ability while I'm like standing out of an AoE, I lose my actual rotation. And so for me,
That won't
I'm
be
like,
a thing anymore.
it's not a thing anymore, which honestly, I am so freaking excited, because the amount of times that I'm just like, should I like just be standing here because I'm currently at the end of my rotation and Soul Eater is right there, or should I just use the ranged? And so it's always been kind of a balancing act. So I am that announcement itself has just been like chef's kiss. Like, good job. Thank you for listening to everyone who's been crying. I'm trying to do like later content with there's situations where just like I can't even get near this boss. I like if I want to stand near the boss, I'm gonna die and it's not gonna go over very well for anybody. So thank you, and thank you for thinking of us, because man, the amount of times that I've had to like lose out on a soul leader opportunity because of it has been too many to count. Even though I am once going back to like a little baby mage, I'm still a little baby dark knight, and so trying to that's I know a lot of people have been like, we've been dealing with this since then, like Heaven's Ward. Yeah, I get it. Like I completely get
You
it.
guys remember Evans Ward? I haven't heard that name in years.
Another really great thing is Salted Earth isn't a target AoE anymore. Holy, you guys, you can delete your macros at Endwalker. Please don't delete them now. If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, man, I just switched over to my Dark Knight and deleted my macro, that is not on me. That is not on me.
That's 100% on you. Not you,
It
but
is
like on the
now
book.
it is now an AoE that gets summoned around you, which is now, guess what? Another changed animation for people to get incredibly confused if I should be standing in this AoE or not. It's going to be a great time for a lot of melee DPS, especially Mako, unfortunately, kind of debating, should I be like, it's a game of should I stand in this AoE or not? Question mark, and then trying to figure out what's happening. However, if you use Salted Earth, that becomes a combo with Salt and Darkness. Also, fantastic name.
So much salt.
So much salt, so much darkness, because we are, in fact, the Shadowbringer. And it has a substantial amount of damage. So I'm very excited to kind of be able to use that combo and not stress out about it. Because up until I would probably say like a month ago, I was target using that ability until Harv is just like, why are you doing that? And why don't you have a macro? And I'm like, I didn't know I should have a macro for this.
It's been about a
And
month.
so,
I remember
yeah,
that conversation.
yeah, it's been about a month. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting for us, I guess. And Obliteration. It gives us 2 charges of 10% mitigation instead of 1. So we can put it on ourselves and the other tank when they forget to put on their mitigation abilities, because that happens sometimes, especially when you're in that alliance raid. Or maybe I put it on myself because I forget to put on my damage mitigation and then I get yelled at by a certain healer. Who knows? I'm not speaking from experience or not. Anywho,
No, it can't be me.
It can't be me. But yeah.
Yeah, and plus, because like that's the thing with Dark Knights, they also have the Blackest Night. That is still a thing. So
Yes.
the mitigation that they can throw out is a lot. I am still very confused why the Blackest Night is still connected to MP. I feel like that should just be a cooldown and don't
would think
affect.
that.
Yeah, don't affect the MP.
Because
There's
it's only 3,000.
it's still 3,000. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The problem. This is. I feel like they're missing. If there's a job they're missing the mark on, it is Dark Knight, because their resources MP. Like that's what they use for their attack up, right?
Yep.
When you use their Flood of Darkness or Flood of the other one, you buff yourself, but it takes 3,000 MP each time to use that.
Yeah.
Tying that into TBN in the Blackest Night, that just feels weird.
Yeah.
It should just be like a straight cooldown, because no other tank uses their resources to buff themselves.
I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense when I think about it.
Yeah.
Using resources to buff yourself like MP.
Yeah, like MP.
As a melee person, just doesn't seem like it makes any sense. It's like if reassemble or that one ability I had earlier used MP every time I wanted to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Practitioner, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Sorry. Go.
No. I was gonna say I don't know if it's like some sort of like specific like gaming handicap that they're trying to give Dark Knights, because like there are certain situations where I'm like throwing out a bunch of damage and then I'm like, oh cool, my Darkest Night is out of cooldown, but I'm sitting at 2,000 like MP. Like cool, great, fantastic, and I just used my freaking Soul Eater to do nothing because I just did a ranged attack. So peace out, homeboys. Like that was a missed opportunity for me because I didn't do quick math. Yeah,
couldn't do the quick maths.
didn't do quick maths, which is always a thing. But yeah, then the ability that I've unfortunately not had the opportunity to use yet because I just became like a level 80 Dark Knight like 4 days ago, which is Simulacrum. Is Simulacrum? Yes, Simulacrum has some changes in regards to stats and everything, but that honestly I imagine that they might do some adjustments beforehand. But yeah, really cool different changes overall for the Dark Knight, and some cool like a lot of it was a lot of animation changes along with just standard abilities that a Dark Knight can use. But now they've just changed it a little bit
Yeah.
visually, not like you guys get what I mean.
Yeah.
Overall.
I was hoping for a little change to Living Dead, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, honestly, I was hoping that they would change it to if you don't get full heals, that the entire raid dies. Who knew? Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Or
Excuse.
turned us all into zombies.
Excuse?
I was hoping they would do like half health. Just get the Paladin to
Yeah.
half health instead of 100%. But
I guess it makes sense because Astra is becoming more of just a full healer. That they're like, okay, we have a full healer now, so we don't need to change it. Because honestly, that is just it's almost like a are you awake check for the healers, because the second that a tank hits that button, like a Dark Knight hits that button and they hit 1%, if you're not healing that tank up to 100%, you done screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun times.
Frank, is there a job you want to talk about before I get to my last one that I want to talk about?
I'll
That's your
talk
eye.
briefly about. Let's go ahead and talk about yours, but I'll talk briefly on Samurai since it's the only other class I've been kind of screwing with. Though I
Okay.
haven't really got to the level 70 or 80 for that, so I don't really have too much to say because some of the stuff is a little bit out there for the abilities that I currently have.
Yeah, because yes, a lot of these abilities are end abilities. Like now the AOE combo has three buttons now. It's got a 3-button combo instead of the 2-button combo to do it. And then Showa's got a second one. Mako Shisui Shisui now has 2 charges on it.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Which is
just
awesome,
Straight
yeah.
up spam that last ability that you can get with it. I just don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Madari.
Madari,
And
there you
then Sabame also has 2 charges, but they made it so it doesn't give you a stack anymore. Because they've added another move called Ogi Namakuri, which is a high damage conal attack, which now gives you a little bit stack.
To the sword gauge.
No, it gives you a stack. You haven't got to the stack part, so you get 3. If you get 3 stacks, then you can do Shoha, which is like a huge, or it's not Shoha, it's another move, but it's a big attack. So you have to get the 3 stacks, and then you just kind of rinse and repeat that. But
Cool.
it seems like it's just upgrading what they've had, minor changes, and added a couple of new things. And I think it's going to be a good job. I think it's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Astro quickly. Since this is the job that I play on my alt with everybody for Shadowbringers right now. They've changed a lot of the card stuff. So they still have Malefic, which is awesome. They got a dot still. Gravity is now Gravity 2, which is great. It's not Gravity 3 like fucking healers. For some reason, White Mage went from Holy 1 to Holy 3. I don't know why. They just skipped Holy 2 apparently. The anime, I'm looking at Fee's thing. It's super cool animation.
Super cool. Big bold letters.
Yeah.
It is cool.
It
No,
looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
It's a screenshot for it right under it.
Yeah, that's Gravity. Yeah. So draw now has 2 charges. Redraw, you can only redraw once now per card. They have Minor Arcana now, which is awesome. Minor Arcana is you draw a lady or a lady or a lord, and it doesn't affect the card that you've already drawn. Because right now, it consumes the card you've already drawn to turn it into a lord or a lady. So that is awesome. It is a 1-minute cooldown, which is great. I think lady is the AOE version, and then the lord is the single target for that. They have a thing called Neutral Sect, which is increases healing potency and then also puts a barrier on somebody, which is great. Depending if you use Benefic or Helios, which is great. the biggest change, in my opinion, is Astrodyne. So you guys weren't here at Heaven's Ward. Heaven's Ward was a very confusing time for Astro, where they each card had its own feature. So if you got an Eward card, your MP would go, you get MP regen faster. If you got balance card, it'd be attack up. If you got the haste card, that would just like make you attack much faster. So now what they've done, so divination is not done by seals anymore. It's just a cooldown now. So you don't have to have 3 seals to use divination anymore. Astrodyne now uses the seals. Depending on if you have 3, if you have 1 sign, it just does MP regen. If you have 2 signs, it does haste. And if you do 3, you get all 3 of them. You get MP regen, haste buff, and you get damage buff. So that's great. Great change. I love that. I'm looking. This is the healer I'm really looking forward to, honestly. And then Exaltation. Exaltation is just damage mitigation. Great. Healing potency up. They've really just kind of doubled down on it. And then Macro Cosmos, which is AoE damage, and then it stores all the damage taken, and when it wears off, it heals for that much HP, or half the damage is compiled, and it heals for that. So if you
is that taken by you, or is that taken by the team?
That Everyone. Is everybody.
Oh,
so this is perfect for raid damage that pops out, right?
Yeah.
And you can pop this at any time. So it's got a duration, right? So it's got a 15-second duration, but within that 15 seconds, you can pop it at any time.
That's honestly,
that's actually really cool.
I can't see them not debuffing this in some way, because there's certain raids where you're taking even with the reduced rates, I'm thinking that we're probably still going to be looking at tens of thousands of amounts of damage, even still splitting that in half. Not even just 10% or 20 or 30. It's 50%. That's an obscene amount. That's taking a raid group from probably half health each to almost full health.
Yeah.
So it's just everyone just being wabam.
It seems like that's the reason why they are putting that in, though, because there is a lot of situations that we've done where we'll get hit by something that we cannot avoid.
And raid wide damage. Yeah, raid wide damage always happens in fights. Yeah.
It takes a minute for the healers to get us back up, and sometimes there's people who don't get back up. Which this is perfect
sometimes
for those
people
moments.
just don't get back up.
Yeah, sometimes those people just don't get back up. But there are this seems like it's that it's for that reason, where you'll get raid wide damage, then you can heal up. With raid wide damage, you can heal up really quick. I mean, when we're talking 30,000 to when we have almost 100,000 health, it doesn't seem like that much, but we'll see how well it works.
But honestly, with a cooldown of 2 minutes, that just seems it's a good, too good to be true button. That just kind of the opposite of Living Dead. This just seems too good. Living Dead.
I know you're salty about Living Dead, Fee. We can't.
Does Living Dead get have does it minus the hit you with damage, or just drop you to health?
It drops you to 1 health.
Okay, because I was wondering if you could just game the system, just Living Dead and then heal for that.
No,
it is a you get reduced substantially, and then if the the healer doesn't heal you within a 15-second period, you die instantly. Doesn't matter if you were at 95%. If you did not hit that 100% threshold, you then die instantaneously.
Yeah, this is an interesting skill, because they also have celestial what's it called? 1 second, I have to look this up quickly. No, it's the little thing where I tell Fee to always get in, and she always runs out of it every single fucking time when she's tanking.
Oh, it's the bubble.
Yeah, celestial opposition. That's what it's called. Celestial opposition.
Yes,
which is no, it's not that. It's Earthly Star. That's what it's called. Earthly Star.
Oh, okay.
Where I put it down, and then in about 20 or 30 seconds, it heals everybody around and does damage. Right?
Got it.
And for some reason, Fee is allergic to an earthly star or something like that.
Every time it's down, I'm just like, okay, we're running away from this.
Every single time. But
That's the tank's job, though. The tank's job is to run away from everybody who drops these things. They run away from flamethrower. These stars.
I'm used to things being dark and chaotic, and if it's too light, I want to run away because the light is bad.
Yeah, so we have the earthly star, and now we have macrocosmos, which is like, these are two like earthly star right now heals for, like, if it crits, it's like 40,000 or something like that. So it is crazy good. So having both of these skills is gonna be very interesting to see how these are gonna both kind of mix together when it comes to this.
I also want to make a quick revision. Living Dead is, you don't get dropped down to 1 health, but if you if you get to 0, it puts you to 1 health, and then the healer has to heal you up to like 100%. So if you're still at like 60, like if you're like at 60 health and the duration goes out, you're not going to instantly die. It's if you go down to 0 health within the time period of 10 seconds.
So it's a little bit different from super bold or whatever it's called that Gunbreaker has. Gunbreaker shoots themselves to 1 health, and then
it seems like more of like a get out of jail free card. Like, I'm not gonna make it out of this, but I will.
Yeah.
Well, those are all ship. Those are all oh shit buttons, right? That's one of the main things. Yeah.
Correct.
Other than that, I don't think I have other jobs that I want to really kind of I want to go full in depth with. We all saw Gunbreaker didn't get too many changes. Scholar they just got a lot of potency boosts. They got protraction, which is great, healing potency up, and a minor regen. Fairy now only has 1 spell that it actually uses for the gauge, which is great. But it's gonna be interesting to see what shield healer people are gonna start using. It's gonna be very interesting. I can't wait.
Do you guys think it's going to be, I don't know, maybe it's just particularly me because the idea of like a barrier healer just does not interest me. Like, I'm saying this now.
It doesn't interest me either.
Yeah.
This might change in like 6 months time, and because it is a goal at some point to try to start, like, at least try every class, at least for myself. But I think barrier healers are probably going to be the like bottom tier of like what I'm going to try, which unfortunately includes Sage, which is the newest one. But my question to you guys, do you think it's going to like hinder things like alliance raids because it's going to be 1 barrier healer and 1 like full healer? Like, are we gonna like see like longer queue times because of that?
Yeah, because that's probably the change they're gonna do, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have one person who's gonna want to play 1 class specifically, and you're gonna have another person want to play that specific kind of barrier healer. Yeah, it's definitely going to add to queue times, but I don't think it's going to add I don't think it's going to be too crazy compared to what we have right now.
As far as I know, if you do have a full group, it doesn't go by that restriction. It's just if you're like, let's say it's the 4 of us going to an alliance raid, or if we go into a trial, you have to have 1 barrier healer and 1 actual full healer. So I don't know. I know a lot of people are going to be trying out Sage, which might be a benefit for all of us. Even though, honestly, as much as we like diss and made fun of Scholar after the live letter, like some of the changes even with Scholar seemed a little bit more interesting than, at least for myself, and a little bit more consumable than the information that we received from Sage. But then again, a lot of people, like, we all don't know what's going to happen with Sage because the like actual media tour may have been even like, yeah, it gives us a little bit of insight, but it might completely change by the time we get to Endwalker. Who knows?
When it comes to Sage and Reaper, I'm in the same boat where it's like, it looks cool, it plays, it looks like it plays awesome, but like I still don't know how that job feels. Like, I know how Scholar feels because I've played Scholar, right? I know how Dragoon feels, but I don't know how Reaper feels because I have not played it. And Sage is the same boat where it's like, I gotta play it to understand what the hell is happening, because they showed all the skills for it. Like, we both saw the video for it, or at least I saw the video. I don't know if you got into the video fee for Sage, but like, I saw the video and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is happening half the time. I know some skills, but some of them are just like, okay, all right,
Yeah, when I was watching it, I'm like, okay, this looks really cool. Like, and shout out to Larisaur that we Larisaurus, sorry, that we all watched to get all
Mhm.
this information. Which, by the way, fantastic guy. Thank you so much for bringing a lot of comedy in the actual videos, because at least for myself, it kind of like
The double
kept me
stacker.
going.
Yeah,
Oh my
double
god, the
stacker.
double stacked, just like the double stack, like that just killed me. I was just like, I think it was like 3 hours into me watching videos, and just seeing that just like brought a smile to my face. And
Yeah.
also his
Shout out to
comment,
keeping them for 2 minutes long too. They were all
Yeah.
like 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
yeah,
Just TLDR'd it. Thank you so much for that.
yeah, no, there was a lot of videos where I was just like, looked at other channels, and no, like, no hate to any of those channels by any stretch, but if I had to look at those videos, I would pick the one that was like the 3 to 4 minutes, and even sometimes it was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds for some of the ones that didn't have massive changes. I think the longest one was the um Reaper, and I think that was at a 6 minute mark.
Yeah,
But that's because
'cause
the
it's a new
Reaper had
job.
so much.
It's a
Yeah,
new
Brand new,
job.
yeah.
Sage was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And honestly, like, even he was a little bit like, you could tell that he was like, "This looks really cool. I can run with these like things flying around my head, like woo!" Like he showed like
He's
that
like,
was
oh, we're just like a Gundam just running around.
yeah, he's just like, I look really cool like this. And then I agree. Like, I feel like we're gonna be seeing a lot of these sages in like Ulda, and Limsa is gonna be nuts with people just playing as a sage. But no, I think, I don't know, Sage just made no sense to me. I know, and n- Ninja. And I like, you could see that in his video too. He's like, I'm sorry, I have no idea how to play this class, and I'm just pressing buttons. Like, I'm just like, that's how I'd feel too. Like, that is so but then again, it's a class that I've never played, and honestly, probably it's not something I wouldn't play in the future, but it's not something that's like getting me super excited to hop in and
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
play that. Is there anything like class that like really got you interested, Frank, that you may have said like in the past, like I'm not particularly interested, but now it kind of like watching the videos, is there anything that really got you excited for Endwalker to try out something different?
I'm definitely gonna try Reaper,
Okay.
100%. I do like the way the rotation kind of looks in terms of just animation, so I might give it a try.
I think you're
Um,
really, really gonna enjoy Reaper because it is it's more technical than all the other DPS jobs,
It
especially
sure is.
physical
And I-
DPS. Yeah.
and I do like that technicality there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might go back to Bard at some point.
They,
Okay.
Just
they
because
brought the
Bard's
3
had
stickers.
yeah, Bard has so many unique changes. It's just like I might try this out because I never got to try out Bard for everything that it offered. I got to Bard up to a point and then went straight to Machinist when I could. So I might have to give Bard a second chance. Kind of like how with your Paladin, we basically did the same thing. Actually, I think about it. We got our first classes up to a certain point so we can get to our second classes, and then just went along with the next one.
All 3 of us
So-
did that with Astro,
Yeah.
Dark Knight, and Machinist.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so I feel like I got to go back to my Bard roots a little bit for a little bit. But yeah, Reaper definitely looks so interesting. Honestly,
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on with Sage though. I don't know what's going on there.
I like how we're all like question mark.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like honestly, like I mentioned before, like Summoner, but also kind of like the Monk. I know when you're watching the live letter, I'm like, this actually looks like they're kicking ass.
God.
Like
I'm just imagining your character, your tall ass character, just jumping around like a monk, just beat the shit out of people.
I mean that too, but also like the dancer, we were like, even like, and we're gonna be talking about this like later on some other content about the like new gear for dancer. Just the outfit itself, like imagining my Rogadin in it would be terrifying. Because her thighs can kill a man. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, Easily 2 men actually. You can double. It's like one of those double nutcrackers.
yeah,
Done.
exactly. So I am like, I don't know. I wanted something like a little bit more of a melee class, and yeah, samurai seems cool, but I don't know. There's so many things I want to try, and which is really cool that you're able to do that instead of having like 15,000 alts, that you can
Right.
just do it on one character, and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go into my retainer and grab my dancer gear and try that out for a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think that's
That's-
something that really it gets me a lot like it gives me a little bit more ease going into Endwalker.
Yeah, that's the kind of weird thing I've seen with Final Fantasy is that it's so unique that you could just job switch into anything. You could literally start anything, and if you don't like it, you don't have to continue it. You know what I mean? But you don't have to create a separate account or go through and jump through any hoops to kind of try something new. And it
Right.
baffles me how nobody has, especially newer MMOs coming out, have not emulated that, seeing how everybody and their mother loves that job switching mechanic.
They've so New World kind of does it a little bit with their job
Mhm.
system. With this, it's all weapon based, so it's got the fluid
Sure.
system. But yeah, having one character, because like most of these companies, if you have more than one character, it's more of a grind to do another character, right? Every time I have watched a interview with Yoshida, everybody asks like he always not everybody asks, he always says like, we don't want Final Fantasy 14 to be your only game that you play. Go play other games. When you have nothing to do, go play other games. Because they don't want people to like live on this game in a while, like as in like this is the only game we play ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
don't want to get burned out on on one of the biggest games that you play.
Yeah, exactly. So it is awesome to see that there's that one character can do it all. And when you look at like World of Warcraft, where you have multiple characters and you have to do multiple things, like imagine doing Beastman Tribe quest on 2 characters. Like that,
I
that
mean,
sounds like hell.
yeah.
That sounds like
Yeah.
I tried. So I started that on my Astro. I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, it is a like I at least for myself, like without going into too much context, there is essentially a beast tribe in World of Warcraft in the Burning Crusade area, in the Outland, where it takes you about 2 days of grinding to get the specific mount, and it's not even like story, like it's not questing, it's you going around mining for days trying to get this stuff. And it was absolutely bonkers, and I did it on 2 characters, and I don't understand why I did that. Like
Yeah, that's
that's
crazy.
I don't know. The more I like really look into like the overall game, but then also days like today, even though like there was a lot of information. Yes, I spent hours trying to like compile details and stuff like that because I wanted to make sure coming into this podcast I was able to do more than just like there's changes. Thumbs up, like I like cool beans. But it made like it brought me a lot of joy knowing that like I can try all of this. I don't need to create another character and go through the storyline, especially with like at least for myself, like I feel like I have such a connection to my character now that I don't really want to do make another character to like experience it again. Like I might do that in the future, mind you, but right now like my character is my character and I want to be able to experience this game and this adventure with that particular character. So it gets me really excited to be able to be like, oh, I can actually like try monk, and I'm really excited to try summoner when Endwalker starts, instead of being like, okay, so I have 35 days to level a character up to level 80.
Yeah.
Because I've done that and it's a nightmare on other games.
Oh, yeah.
So it just brings a lot of comfort and peace of mind, which just makes the overall experience a lot more enjoyable.
I think it's needed in this game because this game is more of a story-based game,
Oh, for sure.
right? Because you
It
can't
Imagine
progress.
having to go through a story every time you wanted to try something new.
Yeah.
What, like the whole story to get caught up. Destiny.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, right? So a couple things we're gonna end up on because we're just about to be finished here.
For sure.
Another thing that they said, there's gonna be 2 ultimates. They're gonna try to do 2 ultimates in 6.x. So the first one is due to come out at 6.1, which is gonna be the Dragon Song War Ultimate, which I'm guessing is going to be thwarted, Nidhogg, and probably one more fight. It's most likely, I'm guessing it's going to be Midgar Stormer, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's going to be an ultimate fight with that. And they're
That's
going to
so fun.
try to push out another ultimate before the end of this expansion.
For sure.
So we'll see. This one was supposed to come out earlier, but it got delayed because of COVID. So this is why it's coming out really early in the next expansion. And so they did show 3 zones. So they showed Thavnair, they've shown old Charlayan, and then they showed Garlemald. So we're gonna go to the Empire at some point in this expansion.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very exciting. I know you guys are getting tidbits of it in
Yeah, that's
Shadowbringer.
where Astinian and spoilers, by the way, if you haven't got that far, I guess. Astinian and Gaius are talking in
Yes.
that one scene. Okay.
Yes, that's where they are. They're in Garlemald, so we're gonna go there. Like that is an actual zone that we're gonna go to. So that is what we know so far from this media tour, honestly. So we're not gonna get another live letter. We're not gonna get probably no content until November 5th or something like that. Now
Yeah, the Halloween event.
No, there's gonna be a live letter at that
Zoom
time.
event.
Yeah, so that's gonna be PvP, crafting, and gathering stuff that they're gonna show
Ooh,
I
okay.
can't wait.
on that one. That is our Friday, sometime in November, 7 p.m. It's gonna be another fucking 7 hours.
God, I don't know if I can sit through 7 hours, guys, but I'll definitely be there to watch.
Goodness.
He's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I'll have to take a nap because I know I work that night. So I'm gonna be like that weekend. So I'm gonna have to be like, okay, I have to take a nap, and then I'm good to go.
So before we get out of here, what did you guys just like? So this is your first time like seeing a live letter like this,
Yeah.
or not live letter? Sorry, a media tour like this.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of like how they're rolling out content for the thing? Frank, what do you think first?
I love how transparent they are about it. They don't really they know, they even tell the people who are reviewing this or putting this information out that this is all subject to change, that we're still kind of working on it. They don't kind of sugarcoat it. They put it out there, they're truthful with it, and they tell you straight up like, hey, this could be different by the time Endwalker comes out. Don't take everything from a grain of salt, but this is kind of a preview of it. And that's really cool to see out of a company. I really like when a company just kind of shows their hand instead of being cryptic. If this was Bungie, or even like, I don't know how Blizzard does their things, but I know how Bungie does it as shit. They just put a name out there and they don't tell you shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I know a name. Awesome. I would like to know more information on it. Why so cryptic game? But no, I love this. I love how you get it. If your class is in there, you already know how different your class is going to be when you see that. And it's great. I think this is really cool, and I honestly commend Square Enix and the team over who works on Final Fantasy 14, just how well they've conveyed this information.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. Fee, what do you think?
I am really impressed by all the information that's come out, and just kind of it's, as someone who has experienced new expansions in other games, I feel like this has been probably one of the more exciting experiences that I've witnessed. Mind you, yeah, it was kind of cool and Burning Crusade to like Wrath of the Lich King, but I wasn't there for it. And there are certain things where I don't even like. This is my first time going into a new game, like a new expansion, and not being max level when a new expansion comes out. So even at that point, like it's cool. Like I appreciate the fact that they were able to kind of like separate the two, and it's not just like here's a bunch of spoilers and then the information, and the information is half done or like half baked, or just as even Frank said it, kind of being a little bit cryptic about it. And it's nice that they're really transparent about it, and to kind of get everyone adjusted to the new rules and new changes, because this isn't the first time that we've kind of seen or heard a lot of these changes. These were a lot more in depth than what we heard in the live letter, because some of the things in the live letter were outlined, like at least the stuff announced on the media tour, my apologies, was roughly explained in the live letter. So being able to kind of like see like, okay, like even seeing the changes from the live letter to the media tour, or kind of you're seeing that growth, and kind of, even though yes, they've been working on this for a long time and we're getting like tidbits here and there, it's really interesting to see what they're doing and how they're trying to think like, okay, what do we need to do kind of thing. And I'm really excited to be I'm avoiding interviews right now because the spoilers, so I'm kind of not trying to head towards the interviews like you have been. So even just being able to see like, okay, this is everything I need to expect job wise without being spoiled makes me feel a lot more comfortable about it, because there have been certain situations in expansions where you get spoiled because you read a little bit of details, or you went to a website and you're like, okay, I wanted to read about this, and then you're like, oh, so this character dies. Like it's not cool.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the dedication they do, and also being able to like see these people like interview Yoshi P. Like, who's going
Shout
to
out to
interview
Yoshi
a bunch?
P, dude.
Sitting down, talking to people about literally anything. Obviously, the majority of it is Endwalker, but it's really cool to see how like, and I'm trying to think of another way other than saying like down to earth they are, because I know that's been overused substantially, but it just feels that way. Like it feels like your friend has created something, and or seeing like a group of people create something out of like admiration and just a love for the actual story and the overall like adventure, and them being like here, rather than them being like here's an expansion and we just ruined one of your favorite characters, even though she had a fantastic arc, and then we've now destroyed it.
Good luck,
And
have fun.
now we
I
should've
wonder
killed her off.
who that is.
I wonder, or being like, hey,
Wow.
you're upset, let's give you a 6-month mount if you pay 6 months in advance. Like that kind of stuff is silly. I'm not saying anyone or anybody has done that. But I don't know, it gets me more and more excited.
Yeah,
And
they
I don't
definitely
think I've
have
been
more
this
of a pulse
excited.
to the community than most
Yeah.
communities do.
And I don't think I've been this excited for an expansion of a game that I haven't even completed yet. So it's
Yeah. They've always been more community focused, and they've always done more of a community thing, because the people that play the game are going to keep your game going, right? They are
Yeah.
the ones that are going to tell other people about your game and stuff like that. And then talking to the community and listening to the community is one of the main things. Like, it's their top priority. Honestly, it's their top
Yeah.
priority, because like Yoshi, it's not even Yoshi P, it's everybody that's on that team. But like, he goes out and like does Party Finder and stuff like that as well, and does like content with people like randomly and stuff like that. So like, it's cool to see that they care so much, of like they care enough to let content creators in the community to like interview them and talk to them. Not even, yeah, like you said, not even about Final Fantasy. Like, I was watching the Asmon one, Asmon and Rich. They barely talked about Final Fantasy. They talked about like how like what kind of inspirations they took creating Final Fantasy 14, and like what kind of mindset do you go into creating like an expansion that came from like nothing or something like that, right? Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like those kind of questions that really kind of come out, and it's mostly the people that haven't played this game for a while are asking those questions. People that have played this game for a while, like the Mr. Happies, the Mistex app, they're really technical. They're like, so yeah, we know healers aren't the greatest thing for DPS, but how do you guys expect to change that? It's like, yes, those questions do come up, but it's very interesting to see like an insight of how they take an expansion and be like, okay, how do we make the how do we take what the community says and put it into the game?
Yeah, it's such a stark contrast to other companies as of late, who instead of just looking at criticism and going, well, maybe we should change it a little bit, instead looking at criticism and going, well, you guys are wrong and you're gonna learn. It's never been that. It seems like it's never been that mentality with Final. Been the community comes first, because the community is what's making this game popular. It's what drives this game forward and forward. It's what gets people coming back. And if there is no community there, and the community isn't loving the world that they're in, they're not going to come back. They're not going to want to play your game.
Yep.
And it baffles me when I see someone like Yoshi P spending hours of his day interviewing people of different channels, different things, not just the big channel. Because you'll see like the big channels get obviously like, you know, the WoW interviews and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Or like the Bungie interviews. But you even see like smaller channels for Final Fantasy getting an interview with Yoshi. I think that's amazing for somebody who's that big within that community to step out of even their comfort zone and just talk to people within that community and get to understand where they're coming from and where their eyes are for this game, and then incorporate that into the game is wonderful. I think more companies should definitely follow suit when it comes to the way that team just, you know, caters to their community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. But guys, thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching this podcast. Fee, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on, well, at least on Friday, since this episode comes out on Thursday. You'll see me on Point in Progress on our Twitch at twitch.tv/pointinprogress with Frank. Our friend here, Harv, is moving on Friday, and for that, what the flip? That was massive.
That was huge.
I don't know what
Okay.
you guys are talking about.
Okay, guys, for some context, he brought out a lighter, and it just like almost.
I didn't know if it was a flamethrower or a lighter.
Yeah, it went from like the bottom of his camera to the top. I just want to add that. So you can find me there. You can find me over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zoranix. I have been streaming my experience through Shadowbringers, and I plan on doing some other games as well because we're getting in. Well, we're currently in the spooky season, but I always like to kind of celebrate it like 2 weeks beforehand, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And on the 26th, we are coming back from a little hiatus over on Speaking of Stadia, and so you can check me out there where we talk about everything that we love about Stadia and all Stadia news.
Let's go. Frank, where can everybody find you?
Well, Fee, I already let you guys know. We're going to be streaming some Final Fantasy Friday. You can find me also probably on that Twitch profile at Point in Progress, where hopefully I'm working on a project with me and Fee for us to stream. Hopefully that'll come out, or not come out, but like be streamed very soon.
Yeah.
And you can find us at Point in Progress YouTube. We just put out a bunch of videos this week. We're gonna have more videos. We have a review. We had a guest this week. ISO Christian was really cool.
Yeah.
If you guys can go watch that, that'd be great. And then of course we have some up and coming podcasts as well coming up. But that's
And
basically
reviews.
it. And
Reviews, yeah.
and reviews.
But yeah, you can find me at Point in Progress here. You can find me on Beard in the Hair as well. Sorry, I had like my brain just shut down for a second. You can find me at Beard in the Hair everywhere except YouTube, which is Beard in the Hair Gaming. I'm gonna have some videos up either this week or next week. Probably next week, if anything. I'll probably have 4 videos going up, or 3 or 4 videos going up. Actually, what? 4 videos should be going up next week on my channel for all Endwalker stuff, all Final Fantasy stuff. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching episode 6 of Fantasy in Progress, Point in Progress podcast. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you guys like the content on the channel, hit that sub button. Again, you can find us all over on youtube.com/pointinprogress. You can find us on Spotify, everywhere. We're going to have a new feed next week, but we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about all the changes when it comes to Fantasy in Progress next week. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.